Welcome, ladies and gentlemen. So what I'd like to do is show you how to determine the angle between two vectors. And in this case, to be able to do that between our angles of two vectors, what we're going to need to do is apply this formula, which says cosine of theta equals the dot product of u and v divided by the magnitude of u and the magnitude of v. So we need to determine the dot product, the magnitude of u, and the magnitude of v. And we'll just do that all separately and then plug them into our formula. So first thing, when applying the dot product, you can see we have u1, v1, u2, v2. So let's just make sure we label those. So this would be u1, u2, v1, v2. OK, so now let's determine the dot product. So u dot v is going to equal -1 times 2 plus 5 times 7. That becomes -2 plus 35, which equals 33. Then let's determine the magnitude of u, which is equal to u1 squared, which is -1 squared, plus u2 squared, which would be 5 squared. Then let's determine the magnitude of v, which is equal to v1 squared, or the square root of v1 squared plus v2 squared. So I have v2, oops. Why don't I simplify this here a little bit? That becomes 1 plus 25 equals the square root of 26. Now let's do the magnitude of v, which is equal to the square root of v1 squared, which is 2 squared, plus v2 squared. So that's going to be 4 plus 49, which equals the square root of 53. OK, so now let's go ahead and plug in. So now we know what the dot product is. We know what that magnitude of u is, and we know what the magnitude of v is. So now I'm going to say cosine of theta is equal to the dot product of u times v, which is not 11, it's 33, divided by square root of 26 times the square root of 53. I can multiply my denominators. I can multiply my radicand. So I have 26 times 53 is 1,378. But again, they're asking us for the angle between our two vectors. So therefore, we need to use the inverse cosine function. So theta, that's what we're trying to solve for, equals cosine inverse of 33 divided by the square root of 1,378. So now to actually find my angle, I need to type in and make sure my calculator's in degree mode. And I do cosine inverse of 33 divided by the square root of 1,378. I don't want to write that out and approximate it to plug it in. I want to know the exact value. And my exact value, when rounded to the 10th, theta equals 27.3 degrees. So there you go, ladies and gentlemen. That is how you determine the angle between your vectors. Thanks.